Today I'm going to make COVID masks, or COVID-19 masks. I joined a group called Canada Sews, and I recommend anyone who sews and who's willing to contribute to first line workers during the pandemic, such as truck drivers that are delivering your food to your grocery stores, people that are cleaning up hospitals, and people who are doing your groceries, ringing through your groceries. Those are the types of people that have been requesting masks from Canada Sews. And I think the request is 50,000 so far. Masks have been requested across Canada, mostly in Ontario. And I think people have responded by making 10,000, so that's just an incredible effort. Also, just for people to have their own masks, you may want to follow along here. The pattern came from the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta. It's for a pocket mask. This seems to be the preferred method or mask pattern. And so I didn't find it all that intuitive when I was sewing it initially, so it took about 3 hours to figure it out, and big mistakes. So what I'm going to do today is just take you through the process. All you need for this exercise is a ruler, a needle and thread, preferably a sewing machine because it'll take you a lot longer to stitch it by hand, but it is possible. Some old sheets or pillowcases or old cotton fabric that you might have, scraps or leftovers or whatnot. Just make sure that it's not really thin, and you want to use cotton, like 100% cotton, or a high percentage of cotton poly blend. Just look through your closets. I found an old sheet that I could rip up. So that's what I'm doing today. If that interests you, great, and let me know how it goes. And if you want more information on Canada Sews, drop me a line. So this is the final product. This is the pocket mask I was speaking about. You can see it's got pleats in the front and on the back, and then there's a pocket in here. And I know there's a variety of different filter material that you can use for this process. I've heard that shop towels, so the blue, they look like paper towel rolls. The blue shop towels they make really good filters, and they actually filter out a lot. So obviously these are not medical grade. Obviously you should be careful not hanging around people that are coughing, but it might give you another barrier. The CDC obviously doesn't recommend these for medical purposes at all. You don't need one of these pads. I bought one because it's really handy. All you really need is a ruler and scissors, pins, or other types of clamps for your fabric, a pencil. Never underestimate the power of a good stitch ripper for when you make mistakes. And then this is just an old pillowcase that I pulled out of my closet. And it's still in really good shape, but the sheets that went with it were old news. So I'm gonna cut that up and turn it into something. And then of course, coffee, let's not forget coffee. And then the sewing machine or a needle and thread. As I say, it'll take you a lot longer, but people have nothing but time on their hands right now, so why not? A dear friend of mine is a clothing and textile scientist, and she gave me a great shortcut if you're cutting out a lot of fabric and you need a straight edge. Because looms weave things, the threads are perpendicular to each other each time it passes. If you make a rip in cotton or woven fabric, it actually will tear in a perfectly straight line. And you can do it at the other end too, and then you're guaranteed to have a 90-degree angle on your fabric. So I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So you want to cut, this is my pillowcase, I just turned it inside out so I can get the seams out of it and stuff. I need a flat piece of material. So I just make a cut there. I'll make it a little bigger. And basically the fabric is going to rip along the path of least resistance, and it's going to make a straight line. And what you're going to see here probably is how crooked this seam is actually is. So here I go. And so what you have now saves you a lot of cutting and guesswork, but now, what you have now is a perfectly straight piece of fabric. And then if you cut it perpendicular, you're gonna have a perfect square or rectangular piece of fabric. So just a little tip for you. We have to make a lot of straps for the backs of the masks. So this certainly speeds up the process, not having to cut everything and get everything straight. Okay, so I have my full pillowcase. It's all the seams have been torn out or cut out, the ends of the pillowcase. And now I just have a very big long piece of fabric that I can cut into any shape I like. I ripped all the edges, so they should all be perfectly square. And the first thing that you're gonna need to do is to measure. We're gonna do the ties first. You're gonna measure your ties to be 51 centimeters long. So to there. And then what we're gonna do, and they have to be 5 centimeters wide. So it's basically 2 by 20 inches approximately. So what we're gonna do then is we're going to cut at 2 inches here, and then we're gonna rip. All right, so I'm gonna do that. So that's a really great trick that my friend taught me, because you can see here, either ends of the fabric that I ripped are exactly the same, so they're identical. So what I went ahead and did was to cut that long strip from my pillowcase into 51 centimeters in length. Then what we're gonna do is we're going to press. These are gonna be our fabric ties. We're gonna press them, and then after I make them flat, we're going to fold over one end to about 1/2 inch. That's about 1 centimeter and a bit. Press it, and then take the whole thing and fold it in half so that we get a nice crease down the middle. And this is what we're gonna get. I feel like I'm on one of those cooking shows where, you know, it's ready in the oven right after it goes in. So yeah, so that's what it's gonna look like after we press it. And then what we do is we press it, we fold in each of the edges, because to make our tie, fold each of them into the center, press it again, and then fold the whole thing over top. So you get really nice edges on it, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is what we end up with. You can see I have my tie, I folded it in half, then I folded each edge into the center fold, and then I folded it again so that you get a nice strip. This edge is open, and you have a nice finished edge on the end. That will be one of the ties. Just a note about the ties, I mean, I have to say in terms of the mask, this is a very labor intensive step to make 4 of these for each mask. So alternatively, I've seen other people use brand new laces, just cut the ends off of the laces and finish them. Hockey laces or skate laces are really good too, they're nice and strong. So, and I know others are using elastics to secure. As I understand it, elastics can get uncomfortable for people that have to wear them for a long time. Elastics pulling on the backs of your ears. So I have my strip here, and I'm going to sew that edge together. Right in the middle is fine. This is just all straight stitching for this mask. So you just, I don't know, you straight stitch on, you know, 2, number tension's 2, or the stitch length is 2. So I'm just gonna sew it right down the middle, and make sure your machine is threaded. I just had to redo this shot. So that's one tie done. So you're gonna have one end that looks nice. That's obviously gonna be on the outside, and the other end's rough, and that will be on the inside of the mask, so you won't see it in the end. And so we'll just trim off all the long pieces of thread, and I will do the other 3 right now. So now you want to pick whatever fabric you want your mask to be made out of. And I'm going to be referring to the A side as the fabric that will be at the front of the mask, and the B side is the fabric that will be against your face when you're making it. So it's always a good idea to pick different colors, because then you know the front and back of the mask. And if you are going to make these for other people, that's really important, so that they can distinguish the difference, and make sure that when you put it on, you're not putting the front side on your face. Although, understandably, these masks need to be washed in hot water and dried on hot in between uses. So I ripped this into 23 centimeters along this edge, and then I've just, because I'm going to make a whole bunch of masks, not just this one, and then I've cut it again along the length to 26 and a half long, and I've made a little notch with my scissors, and I'll tell you, ripping is so satisfying. See how easy it is? And you can see it's perfectly straight. I love this trick, it's so great. Anyway, so now we have our awesome side, the A side, 23 centimeters by 26.5 long. That one's done. Now we're gonna go to the B or boring side. So here's the back side of the mask, the one that's facing your face, and we have a 23 by 23 centimeter square for that. So I've gone ahead and done that. So here are the 2 pieces of fabric. I had wanted to make the front of the mask horizontal stripes, but made an error, so we're gonna have vertical stripes. Not that anyone's going to care. But you can see there's the front piece, the A side, is actually a couple centimeters bigger, and that's so that we can make that pocket that I mentioned. It's a pocket mask. So